Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I am going to be offering my wrap-up evaluation of the Lightweight Obermayer EVO wheels that I had the pleasure of bringing onto the channel and being able to take them out on a number of different rides and share my impressions. I did a previous video where I did an unboxing, shared my initial ride impressions. I'll obviously link to that video so that you can come up to speed with where I am with these wheels. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share a little bit about my final impressions. I'm going to jump into the comment section and share what the community gave me in terms of feedback about these wheels. And then I'll wrap it all up with my final thoughts on a ride that I did with the wheels. My final thoughts about this wheel set is that these wheels are phenomenal performance tools. In fact, the day that I had to give the wheels back, it was supposed to be on a Thursday, and then there was kind of like a delay where I got to keep them for another weekend. And I was really excited because I was like, I get to ride them again and then give them back on Monday, because I started really gelling with the wheels, because I found that the more I rode them, the better they got, or the better they felt, or the better I understood them. I'm not sure which one of those it was, but it wasn't one of those things where like, oh man, I sure don't want to get on those wheels. They're total crap. Quite the contrary. And I went into the wheels with a little bit of prejudice because of the price. When I did the unboxing, I had the issue with, man, these things are narrower than what I'm used to, because let's face it, marketing is powerful. We've been hearing that wider is better and it's the way to go in terms of performance, comfort, compliance, aerodynamics. And the shape, it has that V shape instead of that toroidal shape, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So I went into it with kind of like some preconceptions, and I had to kind of like have the wheel set had to kind of like knock some of that stuff back for me to really be able to enjoy it. And I'm happy to say that they did that. And for a lot of the comments and a lot of the thoughts that people may have about these wheels, look, man, if you don't have an opportunity to ride them extensively, you really won't know. So let's put our prejudices aside, our preconceptions aside. Don't worry about the price thing. We're going to talk about the price, but let's look at some of the feedback that I got in the comment section. All right, one of the comments that I got said, I bought a set in 2006, Generation 2. Still have them on my 2005 Sirota Colorado 3. Back then, tubular only. They're still a fantastic ride as the steel frame balances out the carbon wheels, and tubulars have an amazingly smooth ride quality. Perfect wheels for the older bikes. I guess he's meaning like the steel frames being able to dampen some of the vibrations. Let me talk about that a little bit. When I first got these wheels out of the box, they did feel a little bit tight and a little bit harsher than I would have liked. But as I rode them, that kind of like went away. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, these wheels are too harsh. The one thing that I will say is that there's a lot of buzziness that they transmit back, which I guess would be like feedback. I played around with the tire pressure to try to get rid of it. I really couldn't. But I will say that I wouldn't want to use these for a century, because that kind of unnecessary feedback to me would kind of like become unnecessary. But the stiffness, the purposeful stiffness for performance, both in terms of acceleration and braking, where the wheel just kind of like, it moves like one unit with the hub, amazing. They seem very old, narrow internal, external, and very sharp V shape, as opposed to the wider toroidal shapes of NV, Zip, Roval, etc. Yes, they seem that way on paper, but when you ride them, that doesn't seem to come into play. I didn't feel like I had an aerodynamic deficiency. I didn't feel like I had a cornering deficiency because they were narrower than what we're riding these days, including what I'm riding these days. And I didn't feel like I was at a compliance disadvantage in terms of, you know, the harshness of the wheels. Like I said, it's just that kind of buzziness that comes through. But when I hit something, even like when I went through the ridey road section on one of the rides that I did, I didn't feel like these were substantially harsher than other wheels that I had been using. So I hear what you're saying about how they look on paper, but they seem to get the job done. I have been saying this for years about lightweights. They have been left behind tech-wise, especially for the price tag. I'm going to talk about the price tag in a minute. The latest models minus the Fernberg are prone to sidewall delamination, running them tubeless. I have not heard anything about that. There are equal quality wheels for way less money and can be easily repaired, plus great warranty policies. I appreciate your feedback, sir. Next comment, wheels are the most fascinating component of performance bikes and a complicated subject. Ben Sirota once said, it's not about weight, it's about the ride. Different wheels for different types of riding and riders. So no one wheel set is the universal answer. Lightweight Obermeyers are the stiffest to weight ratio available. Hence, could be harsh for some riders. Depends really on what your needs are. My pet peeve values for wheels I prefer is deflection, delay, and response. The value of Obermeyers are acceleration and climbing response. Incredible today. Yes, way ahead of their time and still awesome compared to almost all other wheels. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. These wheels are outdated. Time has passed them by, just like the German car maker. I don't know what German car maker you're referring to, sir. I use Cadex 65s on my System 6 and Zip 404s on my Pinarello. I appreciate you sharing that. I have friends that ride the Cadex that you're referring to. I also have friends who use the Zips and people who use the NVs. Listen, I think that you'd have to ride these, and I'm not saying that you haven't ridden them, but I think that you'd have to ride these and also ride the others to be able to see that the lightweights have not been left behind in terms of performance, maybe in terms of perception based on the appearance and what's going on technologically. But when you get on them and you ride them, you're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get off these wheels because the tech is so bad, they're so harsh, and they're doing so poor aerodynamically. So those are the comments that I wanted to share. And I think I also shared kind of in there my thoughts and my feedback about the wheels. So let's go out on a ride rather than you staring at my mug and get some real world feedback. I'll probably do a little bit of voiceover. That's what I mean about these wheels. All right, let's go. So in the comment section, I got 22 original comments. 10 were positive, 8 were negative, 4 neutral. And I do stand by everything I said in my initial impressions video, except that weird sawing sensation I described when I was cornering. It simply wasn't there. I don't know if it was an adaptation issue on my part, but the bike never did it again. So I'm going to score the bike in certain criteria 1 through 10 to kind of like give you an idea of, you know, where I ended up in terms of my evaluations of this bike. Let's start with solo on the flats. I give the bike an 8 because they get up to speed, but I have to kind of like keep putting in an effort to keep the bike going because of the lightweight. And this is with me doing 21 to 22 mile an hour solo efforts. At higher speeds in a group, the bike does better, or I should say the wheel set does better, but you do notice that it's really not holding momentum like a heavier wheel set would. Acceleration, a 10. They scream up to speed. Very immediate engagement. It's really quite amazing the way how these wheels accelerate. Braking, the same. I'm going to give it a 10 under braking. The same concept, just in reverse. Cornering, 9 after the initial ride. I can't really identify a cornering issue with them, but I also didn't send it, like send it on any of my rides. In terms of compliance, I'm going to give it a 7.5 because of the nagging, buzzy kind of feedback thing, but good enough. Otherwise, no better or no worse than any other wheel set that I have ridden. Now, with price being kind of the elephant in the room type of issue, I found them priced anywhere from $5,750 to about $8,000 at the time of this video. My theory is if you can afford them, as affordability is a very subjective and relative concept, then get them. Should you buy them only because you think they can make you faster? Well, I think there are other wheels that would fall in within most people's budget that can kind of do what these do for most of us mere mortals. Now, as a general rule, I try to stay out of people's pockets. If they can afford them and they're being ridden, who really cares? I also don't think that people who can afford them and are called cycling dentists should be denigrated because they ride them. Simple concept. One thing of note is that they boast repeat buyers, and some of those repeat buyers own multiple sets that they have spread around their fleet. So make of that what you will. My verdict on this amazing wheel set is that despite the old tech, they were so far ahead of the game that they're right there with a lot of the wheel manufacturers today. The robustness, the smoothness. One of the things that I heard a lot about this wheel set was how harsh they are. They're not harsh. Not for a 50mm depth wheel with carbon spokes. I'm not going to use the word compliant, but they're not harsh. One betrayal of this wheel set is that the weight, they're very lightweight, and at 1230 or 1260 grams, I'm not sure what it is, but you'll get up to speed, but you'll feel like you're still cranking out effort. That was a reality that I experienced with them. They're great for climbing because of the stiffness and the directness and how they put power out. Under braking, they're phenomenal. But man, that lightweight certainly betrays them down here in the flatlands. These wheels would be really good in a situation where you're riding and you've got rolling terrain. That's how I would see optimal usage for them. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you for watching, supporting our channel. And as always, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.